Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this month's webinar, which, as you'll see, is on the topic of data cleanup and also a DCS 2.0 update. So, as always, I'll start with a bit of housekeeping. So today's session is being recorded and will be shared with all registrants later this week. So if you'd like to share the recording with a colleague who couldn't attend, or if you'd like to revisit any of the content we covered in today's session, you can do so. And we'll send out a copy of the slides and the Q&A to registrants next week. So the audio for the session is available through your computer speakers or by dialing in via phone. If you experience poor sound quality at any point through your computer speakers, you may wish to try dialing in via your phone instead, and that can be done by accessing your device settings at the top of the screen within the Teams session. Just click the three dots for more settings, then select device settings, and a little area will open on the right-hand side. Participants will remain muted throughout the session. However, there is a chat area, which of course some of you have already been using, and we'll monitor that throughout the session. So please, if you have any comments or questions, please submit those at any point you like, and we'll get to those when appropriate. So presenting today are myself, Stephen. I'm a product support advisor at the CLA, and also Monica, who is the other product support advisor at CLA. And we also have with us Claire Gordon, who's our product manager. Right, onto the agenda for today. So we'll start off with an update on DCS 2.0, and then Monica will walk us through a DCS data decluttering talk. And then we'll finish up with any remaining Q&A. So I'll hand over to Claire for the DCS 2.0 update.
Thank you very much, Stephen, and good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing well with your teas and coffees. And just before I start, I'd like to quickly address the fact that I'm still here and Imogen is not. So for anyone that isn't aware, Imogen is unfortunately still off sick. So I will be continuing to look after the development of the DCS 2.0 in her absence. But this is only temporary, and we hope to have Imogen back with us and you sometime in the new year. And I'm sure you all share our sentiments and that we wish her a speedy recovery and hope to have her back with us as soon as she's well enough. So I appreciate it's been a while since our last webinar, and as a result, it's been a while since you had an update on the DCS 2.0. So I am going to be spending some time going over this today. Some of it will be stuff you've heard before from Imogen, but some of the latest developments will hopefully be new and exciting. So as Stephen said, I'm happy for you to leave questions in the comments box as I go, and Stephen will monitor these and answer where he can. And then a little later, when I hand over to Monica, I will take a look and answer anything that's left. So at this moment in time, we are still aiming for a launch in early spring, as was discussed with Imogen and our partner HEIs. I'm not able to share a date with you just yet, but I hope to be able to in the new year. But the main point here is that there's no reason to believe that we'll be launching any further out than what has already been discussed. Okay, now to hopefully the exciting part. I am delighted to share with you that things have been moving at a really promising pace, and we're determined to make sure everything remains running smoothly so that we can meet our spring deadline and, of course, have everything in good shape for when Imogen is back. So this slide will be familiar to most of you, and I've highlighted in yellow what's been done since the last webinar. So you can see that we now have the following new features and functionality developed in the test environment. So we have our bulk student and bulk lecturer management, our bulk course update, metadata enhancement, so that is requesting updates to metadata records you find in the DCS. We also have the full academic request to content request journey, so that's great news for anyone that makes use of CLA's academic request form. We almost have a full suite of HEI reports ready. We're just ironing out a few creases there, but this includes the HEI report, which is now merged with the downloads per content item report, which I will go into a little bit more detail about shortly. We have the EHES report, requests in progress, and rejected requests. The core text anonymous reader is fully integrated, and this still remains optional. So if you'd rather keep using the DCF PDF viewer instead, that's absolutely fine. And important to note here that we haven't integrated with the core text advanced reader just yet, but we are working closely with core text on this, so more to come in the coming weeks. We also have a full in-progress request table. So for your reference, this table refers to the active request table in DCS1. It's exactly the same. It was just decided that the label in progress was more accurate than active requests. We also have a full working EHES process. So you can place an order from the DCS UI and approve it or report a problem as you've always been able to. And it's worth noting here that the EHES process that's been built caters for the interim process we've been working to since the British Library cyber attack. The BL haven't been able to provide us with a date as to when the full system will be operational, but we hope to have an update on that in the new year. And finally, the dashboard. You may or may not have already seen this, but it is for the moment a replica of DCS1. I know Imogen has high hopes for jazzing this up a lot more, but this will come after the initial spring launch. So I will be showing you some of the built features in just a moment, but before I do, I just wanted to share a quick word on the migration and freeze. So our developers are busy working on migrating DCS1 data to DCS2 as we speak. So this is all users, courses, content items, and institutional data. The only thing that will not be migrated, which is relevant to this group, is passwords. So you should all expect to reset your passwords when you're set up in the new system. We expect to have results of the migration by the 9th of December. So I hope to be able to share this with you in our webinar next month. I know a lot of you are keen to know a little bit more about the freeze, as this is going to have, or likely to have, the biggest impact on users, as there will effectively be a period that DCS is not usable. You may still have access to DCS1, but we plan to disable the functions within the system, as anything you do will be void whilst we migrate from 1 to 2. We'll also need to freeze reading list management system integrations, and we're discussing how best to do that with the team at the moment. So this will likely mean that any digitization requests made via an RLMS or the academic request form will fail until the connection to the new system is restored. So we'd recommend that you share that the DCS will be down for a short period in spring with your students and academics. But I understand you can't do this very effectively without dates. So as soon as I'm able to share those, I will. And of course, we're going to be working on training materials, FAQs, as well as creating a brand new knowledge base to support this transition. So there'll be plenty of support available. And I hope it goes without saying that it's our priority to ensure that this transition is as painless and quick for everybody as possible. Okay, so now moving on to the exciting part, I'm going to show you some of the new features that have been built that I went over at the start. So apologies, this isn't a live demo. We have our deployments to the test environment late on a Wednesday and early on a Thursday, so I didn't want to risk showing you a system that was being deployed to. So these are all screenshots, but hopefully it gives you a good idea of what's going on. So firstly, something brand new to help the DCS more accessible. We have integrated an assistive toolbar, which, if switched on, which is entirely optional, will be present across all pages in the DCS. The toolbar has some really handy accessibility features, such as text-to-speech options, customizable fonts and styling to suit your needs, reading aids, such as a screen mask and ruler, and a translation functionality. So I've included a link to Recite Me on this slide, which is up here in orange. So anyone keen to know more can take a look at this once the deck is shared. Or if you're really keen, you can Google Recite Me Assistive Toolbar for more information. So we hope that this will appeal to the wider audience. We know that accessibility was a big requirement for DCS 2.0, and we are going to be working on a few more accessibility enhancements in terms of content for launch. So more updates to come soon on that one. Let's move on to the dashboard. So as you can see, this doesn't look too dissimilar to the current one, but hopefully you'll agree that it looks a little bit cleaner and more updated. We have our announcements, our go to request section, our quick search, and as is the case with DCS 1.0, each section is collapsible so that you can personalize your dashboards to a certain extent. The same goes for these sections here as well, your academic request, license, content, and EHES. And this is pretty much complete and how things are going to look for the initial launch. But I know that Imogen, as I said, has high hopes for this dashboard in future. So some of those changes customers have raised with her are in the pipeline. It's just been decided that we should launch with as close to DCS1 parity as we can in the first instance. But the benefit of this new platform is that it will be a lot easier to develop and scale on. So making enhancements will be likely to come in the future. And one final thing on the dashboard, you'll see that you're also able to collapse the left-hand nav pane completely if you would like to. And a note on the dashboard personalization features, which also goes for the Recite Me toolbar. This only affects one user. So if you decide you want to hide the announcements in the eHES section, for example, you can do so for your personal DCS profile, but your other colleagues will be able to make different changes on their profiles. So we've implemented a couple of minor improvements to the tables in the DCS, which, like the dashboard, will allow for a little bit more personalization. So we've retained all of the sorting functions we have in 1.0, but you're now able to hide and manage columns so that you can declutter your tables and only see what you want to see. So this functionality applies to all tables in the DCS. So that's requests in progress, which is currently active requests, complete requests, users, courses, and this also works on the search and discover page. Reporting will work in much the same way as it does currently, but for anyone eagle-eyed, you will see that the list is only 4 long, whereas it is 5 long in the current system. And the reason for this, as I touched on earlier, is the fact that we've merged the HEI report with the downloads per content item report. And the decision was made as so much of the information was duplicated across the 2 reports, so now we just have one mega report, if you like. One other minor change is that you'll be able to add a specific date as well as the academic year for the HEI report. So obviously that date needs to be within the academic year you're interested in, but it allows you to focus the reports a little more if you need to and go month by month. And just a note on special license provision. So this is just pertain to a slight change in DCS 2.0. There will be no special license provision in the new platform. So this verification type was introduced during COVID to increase the copying allowance without the need for SEPs. And to the best of my knowledge, this was just never removed post-COVID, so we will not be taking it forward with DCS 2.0. But any content requests which make use of this type will be migrated as covered, so you'll be able to make full use of it until the end of this academic year, and then they'll be rechecked as normal at the end of the academic year. I don't know an awful lot about this, but I have been informed that some people may have been instructed to use this license type if they were using the NLA content. So for anyone that is using this type, you'll be pleased to know that DCS 2.0 has its very own NLA license type, so you'll be able to make use of this properly in the new system, again, once things have been checked past August. So if anyone does have any specific questions on this, please feel free to post them in the chat and I will take them away with me and discuss with our licensing team, and we'll provide answers in the Q&A doc, which is sent around with these slides. So now I have a question for anyone on this call that might be making use of bespoke tools that use the DCS API. So to be clear, I'm not referring to our reading list management systems or LMS connections, but rather any other tooling that might have been created in-house by yourselves to make your ways of working with the DCS easier. I have spoken to one institution that has something set up, but I just wanted to check to see if anyone else has anything that I may have missed that I can't find in Imogen's notes. So if you have or you think you have, please feel free to email me directly and we can work on figuring that out together so we can make sure that we can test ahead of the launch in spring next year. And finally, I would like to talk to you about an invitation we have for all of our HEIs. So it is our intention to have a beta release of the DCS 2.0 in the new year, and I'd like to invite a select group of HEIs to participate in testing the new platform. So a few things to note here. The platform will not be complete. It will all be hosted within our test environment, not live. And it is likely that the existing DCS 1.0 data won't have been fully migrated by that point. So if you do take part in the testing, you'll likely be using dummy data. We will be giving all HEIs the chance to participate, but obviously there's absolutely no obligation, and the testing period is likely to be for 2 weeks towards the end of January, but more detail will follow. I'm planning to send out, or I hope to send out, invitations to all around mid-December, and this invitation will contain all of the relevant detail for you. I do realise that many of you may be off work from mid-December, so don't worry, we'll send out a reminder in the new year if you don't have a chance to sign up this side of the year. And then just finally, whilst we'll be extending the invite to all HEIs that do use the DCS, we'll be selecting around 20 to 25 HEIs to actually take part in the testing itself. So we want to have a diverse mix of HEIs, so big ones, small ones, HEIs that use Talis, Leganto, Keylinks, etc., and those that don't. So more to come on that, but I hope we'll have a few of you that will be interested in trying out the new platform in the new year. Okay, so nearly it from me, and I will pass over to Monica. But just looking ahead to our shiny new system, I know Imogen has spoken to you briefly about a pre-spring clean of your data before we migrate. So we still encourage you to take a look at any of the following and remove anything you no longer need. So this isn't mandatory, but on the off chance anyone has time to do a pre-spring clean, it can't hurt for the migration of 2.0. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Monica, who is going to take you through how to remove users and lecturers in the DCS. Thank you very much for listening, and over to you, Monica.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you are all having a good start to the winter time. Thanks, Claire. As she's mentioned, today I'll be walking us through how to delete inactive users and lecturers from your DCS. Some of you might have received an email which resembles something like, can you see my screen actually?
No, we can't.
Not yet. There we go.
There we go. That looks like your slides.
Some of you might have received an email from me and Stephen, which resembles something like what's on screen just now from us in the past month, listing some of the inactive users found in your DCS. And we asked you to have a look and then either delete or send us a list of the users you would like removed as part of our periodical data cleanups and checks. This is in tandem with our IT department here at CLA. So you might be thinking, why are we asking you to do this? This process ensures authorized access to your DCS and also helps keep us compliant with the license. And compliance is key for audits and governance under the license and keeps us all efficient in our use of the DCS. Here are the key steps for deletion. In summary, and I'm going to be walking us through it in more detail later, we identify lecturer status, so we decide who to keep or remove. We understand why they appear on the DCS, so there might be a few reasons as to why they may be listed as a lecturer and as an inactive user, or simply as a user. And these three reasons might be that they were auto-imported for courses or reporting, their account was never activated, which means that they never logged in into the DCS, but are there for reporting reasons or were lecturers in the past. And then thirdly, they may have been linked to archived courses. Then we can check course links. So we run HEI reports, the current academic year and past academic years, to check which courses these lecturers and users are associated with. It's important to note the course IDs so that we can reassign said lecturers to another lecturer. And then we are able to proceed to deletion. Fourthly, we reassign the courses, we edit these courses in the DCS, assign the active lecturer, and then save. Then we proceed to delete the account, so we remove the user entry only in the DCS, and then if you would like to fully delete a lecturer, we remove them from the lecturer configuration page on your settings in your DCS. And then lastly, we would ask you to validate and rerun the HEI reports to confirm these changes. We ask you to wait a little while because it doesn't instantaneously update the report once a lecturer or user is deleted. It takes a little while. I'm not entirely sure how long, but it does eventually update. So I don't know about you all, but I am a visual and kinetic learner. So today I'll show you how to manage lecturer accounts in the DCS, including identifying inactive users, reassigning courses, and deleting accounts efficiently. But just as a quick note and caveat, I will be showing a set of test emails and lecturer names and users to demonstrate the process, and they will appear as lecturer user active in the DCS on your screen, but this is the equivalent to your users appearing as lecturer user inactive in the DCS. So I'm going to share my screen now, and hopefully you'll be able to see. If you could give me a thumbs up if you are able to see my screen, that would be great.
Oh, there we go. We were still seeing the demo screen, but now we can see your PowerPoint.
Okay. Can you see the DCS now? Oh,
There we go. Now
there
we
we
can.
go. Great. Fab. I will momentarily stop sharing whilst I load something else. Okay. There we go. Okay, so from here, we are logged in as a institution. This is our institution for test purposes, Palo Santo Institute. Our lecturers are listed as usual under lecturer configuration. And to identify the users that we would like to delete, we would click onto users. And say we would like to delete lecturerofficial5@gmail.com for whatever reason today. And we attempt to do so. We come to this page. Are you sure you want to permanently delete this user? And then it also lists all the details of said user or lecturer. And we click delete. An error message might come up looking like this. There was a problem while trying to delete this lecture user. Please try again later. So we cancel. And the next thing I would suggest doing is running the report. So running a report is as easy as clicking reporting, clicking the drop-down box and choosing HEI report. And like I said, the current academic year is the best option to check which lecturers are inactive. And then you would walk your way back to your past academic years just to double check if they are under any other academic years in other courses. I have downloaded one from earlier for the demo, as it can take a little while to load these HEI reports. But this is what it would look like. And it would be important to note the lead lecturer and the course name and course code, just so that you know how to reassign them in the course section. So you can see that lecturer official 5 is a lecturer for globalism, and the course code is C003. And this is the one we would like to delete. So we take note of that. And we'd go to courses. And we can see that C003 is here, globalism, and lecturer official 5@gmail.com is the lead lecturer. In order to update the lecturer, we click update, scroll down, and we can see that there's another lecturer already assigned to the course. And in order to delete lecturer official 5, we need to reassign a different lecturer. So we can either edit this lecturer or promote this lecturer. And which is this. You also have the ability to assign a new lecturer to the course, but that is down to you. But for now, to keep it simple, I would suggest either looking at the lectures that are there and then promoting or editing said lecturer and then clicking save. So now we see that the other lecturer 25 at cla.co.uk is now the lead lecturer for the course. We can go back to users now. And as we attempted to delete lecturer official 5 before, we try to again, come to the same page. And then they are deleted. And it's as simple as that. There is the other thing that you would be able to do, or sometimes a lecturer isn't, a user isn't a lecturer and they're just listed as a user. Because they wouldn't be associated with any courses, it would be as easy as clicking on the delete button for a user. So deleting here and then deleting here. And then they disappear from your DCS to an extent. But we will have a question and answer section at the end. And also you will be able to email us for any other questions if you have any other questions on deleting lecturers, as there are more complex issues around deleting some lecturers that you might come across. But I am very happy to help if it so comes to that. There are some tricky situations where archived courses and archived lecturers appear on reports, and they're a bit trickier to delete. And that is because you have to do a bulk update rather than manually deleting them from the DCS. But I can talk you through that some other time. And that is how you delete inactive lecturers and users on your DCS. Over to, I believe, is it Claire again or Stephen?
Yeah, I can take it on. Thank you very much. So that concludes the content of our webinar today. I've just been through the chat and answered all of the questions that have come in, but I will just we'll just sit for a couple of minutes, and if anybody else has got anything else they want to ask on Monica's demo on deleting lecturers or anything else DCS 2.0 wise, please feel free to pop those in the chat. I have just responded to a question, but the last part of that will be relevant to everyone on this call. So we are going to be creating new knowledge base articles, so especially for any functionality that is brand new in DCS 2.0, we will make sure that you know exactly how it is supposed to work so that you're not met with any nasty surprises. And we will be holding some drop-in sessions pre-launch where we'll instruct on all new functionality, and you'll have a chance to kind of have a look at the new system and ask any questions that pertain to your day-to-day working. So hopefully those will be helpful for you. And just a final note while we wait for any more questions. We will be having one final webinar of the year, which will be held on December the 18th, and it will be a Christmas quiz, as is tradition. So we hope to see as many of you that are around on the 18th. So we've got a couple of questions. Yeah. So what access do listed lecturers have to the DCS? So that's a good question. And Monica, Stephen, please correct me if I'm wrong. But it depends. If you have set up the academic request form, you will have to list all of your lecturers within the DCS so that they can log into the academic request form and send requests directly through to the DCS. But lecturers won't have access as you as a DCS user do. So they can't create a content request, they can't change institutional data. It's purely access for the academic request form, and also so that you can link them to a course or to a content request if you want to. They never see what you see in the DCS yourself. Is there anything I've missed on that, Monica or Stephen?
No, I think you've got it right there, Claire. Yeah.
Great. More of a complex one about the TADC integration. So this is something So would there be any possibility of bringing the TADC request ID into a DCS report? That is something that I will have to get back to you on. The only reports I'm aware on that we would include both would be when you onboard to the DCS. So I don't know if it would be possible to have those once you're in the DCS and running an HEI report, but please leave that with me and I will look into it and get back to you in the Q&A documents. So I hope that's okay, Laura. And then we have another question from Pauline on lecturer deletion. If we remove them from the current year requests, will that be enough to then delete them if you are still on archived previous year requests? I believe the answer to that is no, but Monica, you are our resident guru on deleting lecturers, so I'll pass over to you.
I inadvertently became so these past couple of weeks for this
You lucky
webinar.
thing.
But Pauline, no is the answer. It is the case that you would either manually go through all of your past courses that that lecturer is associated with and reassign a new lecturer and then delete them. But as I mentioned at the end of my presentation, you could also do a bulk update and do it that way. And I think that is the most effective way of deleting a lecturer if they are in archived and past academic year requests. I hope that answers your question somewhat. But if you need help with that, please feel free to give us an email and I'll be happy to help.
Thank you, Monica.
No worries. Can we reassign in an archived request? What do you mean reassign in an archived
So I'm assuming request? Pauline means can you reassign a lecturer?
Yeah, no. So I think this is where the bulk update function on the DCS comes in handy. And I've tested this myself. So this is where it becomes a little bit more complex. And I would suggest giving us an email if you need help with it.
And just a point on this, deleting lecturers will be a lot easier in DCS 2.0. So it's something that, as we say, it's helpful if you have kind of the easy scenarios of deleting people on current academic years. It's a lot easier. There's no obligation to go through and delete all of these before DCS 2.0. As I said, it'll be easier in the new system. It's just if you have the time and you fancy a spring clean, it would be great just so we don't migrate over old data, but no pressure at all if you don't have the time. So I think that answers all of the questions. There are a couple that we need to get back to you. We'll take those offline and come back to you early next week with the recording and the Q&A documents. So thank you to everybody that took the time to join today. It's lovely to have you all here, and we will see you all, or everyone that's around, on the 18th. So thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.